Hi, it's Hope and welcome to the video. This is going to be my May mid-month wrap-up, so let's just get straight in as there are 12 books on this that are going to be in this video. Keep in mind that in April I only read 13 books, so in the first 15 days of May I pretty much almost read more than I did in April. So let's just start off first with I read the first 3 graphic novels in the Heartstopper graphic novel series, and I originally wanted to reread these for volume 4 that came out on the 6th, but apparently it only came out on the 6th in like the UK and I think Europe, and it doesn't come out in Canada until December 7th, and currently right now I can't really afford to buy the physical copy of it. I'm trying to see if when I get my next paycheck I'll be able to buy it, but I read the first 3 ebooks because I can purchase the ebooks when they got released, when they were available on ebook, but the fourth one isn't. So yeah, and the Heartstopper graphic novel series, we follow Nick and Charlie as in the first book, well, the first graphic novel, they become friends and eventually kind of start to develop a crush on each other, and that's kind of the basic. It's just a very cute, fluffy, queer graphic novel that talks about finding out your sexuality and coming out, and now the fourth one is slowly going into a little bit more darker stuff, but I really wanted to read the fourth volume of this, and I am still keeping an eye if I can find it anywhere really cheap. The cheapest that I found is Book Depository for I think $20, so I might just say screw it and purchase that. But I put myself in a book buying ban, so that's a whole thing. I don't know, but I did really enjoy doing a reread of these. These were all 3 of these volumes were 5 stars. I absolutely love these to bits and pieces. I read each of them in one day, so it took me 3 days to read the entire series thus far, and I am really excited to someday read volume 4, whether that be in December when it gets released in the US and Canada, or sooner. But yeah. So now I always get flustered when I talk about these kind of books because I'm just I shouldn't enjoy these kind of books. But I read Mates Unwanted by, I need to look up the author, by Candace Wondrak, and this is a kind of paranormal romance reverse harem book. And if you do not know what reverse harem is, it's essentially one girl, multiple guys. This one is one girl, 3 guys, and I hate that I enjoy these kind of books, but the romance is always top tier amazing. In Mates Unwanted, it is kind of a Omegaverse. If you do not know what that is, I will not sit and explain it, but essentially we have June, who is a female alpha, and they don't really exist. So she is attempted to be sold by her father to this person called the Mate Killer, but June escapes into kind of the wilds of the world and meets Rhett and Chance, and that is kind of all I can explain. And I gave it a 3-star. It was good. I feel like it would have been a bit better if it was a little longer, a little more fleshed out, and all of that. But it was a fun read, I guess. The next 4 books that I read this month are part of a series, and that series being The Brutal Boys of Everlake Prep by, I need to look up the author, by Caroline Peckman and Susanne Valenti. And this series consists of Kings of Quarantine, Kings of Lockdown, Kings of Anarchy, and Queen of Quarantine. I had to look over there because I could not remember them on the top of my head. And this is a new adult, contemporary, reverse harem like series where we follow Tatum, who goes to this boarding school after her father sends her there, and she kind of gets in the, and then she ends up, how do I even describe it? But like, I'm gonna struggle so much with this. But essentially, Tatum's father is seemingly responsible for the outbreak of the Hades virus, which is a kind of like a deadly virus that kills that has like a death rate of 60% and all that, and Tatum ends up starting to get essentially like bullied for it by these like 3 guys, and that's kind of where it goes. But that's my brain trying to describe this. But it is 1 girl and 4 guys by the end of the series, and it is like, the plot is like all over the place. I gave each of these books a 4.5, but like the plot is like one thing after the next, very chaotic, but it's character development and the romance and the character interactions that are that I really loved, because it shows like different types of like the different relationships, and there is a decent amount of smut. I will say that like there is a decent amount of smut, like, oh my gosh. And I will say the ending was a little bit weird, because it was like, here's the ending, and then we'll go 1 year later, 4 years later, 5 years later, like another 5 years later, so it's just kind of like a whole like time jump at the end. But I did enjoy this. This is definitely like my favorite reverse harm series. I've only read technically 1 other reverse harm series, but like still, this was really good. Now onto the more normal books that you typically see me read is Windwitch by Susanne Dennard, and this I gave a 2.5 stars, and this is the 2nd book in the Witchlands series, and the first book being Truth Witch, where we follow Safi and Isolde. Safi is a truth witch, and essentially she's very rare. She can identify the truth, and when Safi and Isolde are kind of begin to be hunted by a blood witch, which is somebody that can essentially like sense your blood, they have it while Safi and Isolde going on the run. That is a very awful description, but I didn't really like Windwitch that much. I just felt like I couldn't wrap my head around anything. And I almost DNF'd it. The only reason I didn't DNF it was because that I'm kind of trying to participate in the Witchlands Along, hosted by Jade from JD Ray Reads. And I am going to read Sight Witch, but if I do not enjoy Sight Witch, I'm entirely DNFing the series, because it's one that I find myself almost being dragged through. But like, I mean, it's good, but I just felt like I couldn't wrap my head around anything. Next we have We Free the Stars by Hafsah Faizal. I do not know if I'm pronouncing that name right. If I'm not, please put the proper pronunciation in the comments or something like that. But this is the 2nd book in the, what is this? And so this is the sequel to We Hunt the Flame, which I read in April. And so I can't really explain this, but We Hunt the Flame, we essentially follow a hunter named Zafira who is sent on this kind of task to find this lost magic. And then we follow Nasir, who is an assassin sent by his father to kill the hunter, which is Zafira. And this I gave a 3 stars. I didn't like it as much as We Hunt the Flame. I was just kind of like iffy with it. It wasn't bad, it wasn't good, it was just okay. I really only stuck around to see Nasir and Zafira like relationship forming, like their banter and all that. Otherwise I probably would have DNF'd it. Next I read Torn by Angelina J. Steffort, and this is the first book in a paranormal romance series, and essentially we have Lightbringers and Shadowbringers. Lightbringers take the souls of the dead to heaven, and Shadowbringers bring the souls of the dead to hell. We follow Lanny, who discovers that she's a Lightbringer and must learn how to become a Lightbringer with the help of her friend Leon, and while trying to avoid a Shadowbringer named Cass, who can essentially steal her soul and take it to hell if she doesn't become a Lightbringer fast enough. And that is a very bad description, but this I gave it a 4 stars. I did enjoy it. It was really fast-paced and pretty intriguing. I do plan on reading the next book in the series, which is Unraveled, which just came out in April, I think. Yeah, it just came out in April, so I am excited to read that. It either came out in April or beginning of May. I don't remember exactly when it came out. But I'm going to try to maybe read that next month because it is a really good book. I really like Lanny as a character, and I do like where it could potentially go. And the final book that I read in this chunk is City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab, and this essentially we follow Cassidy, who can see ghosts after she almost drowned nearly a year ago. And her best friend is even a ghost. When her parents are these writers, and they get offered to do this TV show where they travel to haunted locations, like haunted cities, and do a show on it. So she travels to Edinburgh, and she meets this other girl that can see ghosts and learns kind of like the trueness of seeing ghosts and all of that. This is a middle grade paranormal ghost story thing. Oh my god, and my brain can't process words right now. And this I gave a 3.5. It was really good for being a middle grade. I loved Victoria Schwab's Shades of Magic. Well, technically it's V.E. Schwab because that's what Victoria Schwab publishes her adult books under. But I did really like this, and I do plan on reading the next book in the series, which is Tunnel of Bones. And this one was kind of an impulse read because I was in the library getting We Free the Stars from the library, and this was just on a shelf, and I was like, hey, I've heard good things about this, and it's a really quick read. It's under 300 pages, and I've heard great things, and I'm like, let's check on a middle grade, so why not? And I did really like it. So those were the 12 books that I read this month. This was all over the place and crazy. I needed to quickly film this, as well as my brain just kept on brain farting on how to pronounce words. So this was really choppy and all of that. And let me know what you have read so far. I am kind of curious to see if I'm going to be able to finish my TBR for this month because, well, out of the 12 books that I've read so far this month, only half of them were on my TBR. So yeah, I have less than half of my TBR done this month. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye!